welcome to another Huddle Breakdown Extra Time. I'm your host Martin Murphy, joined as ever by James. No Alan this week, but my goodness, what a substitute we've got. What a signing we've made for the short term. Quinny, welcome my friend, how are you?
Thanks for having me back on. Martin, great to see you, and always happy to come on and hang out with you guys. Filling big shoes, so I'll do my best to uphold Alan's spot with integrity.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure you'll be very much a Craig Bellamy rather than a Mo Kamara, my friend. So, we're looking forward to this very much. And thanks for joining us from, where is it, Guantanamo you are at the moment? It's a wee bit bare there.
Yeah, El Salvador.
Undisclosed location right now. You might even say I'm away scouting. You might even say that's what's going on right now. But out in the middle of the summer window, could be anywhere.
I like your style. I'm sure it's around the Lake Como area, but I just thought I'd mention a couple of things just now in terms of what we're going to be covering today for our subscribers. So obviously we'll be starting in a moment to look at the Sporting Lisbon match, the George Cadet Derby, where Celtic were victorious again in Lisboa. We'll be starting to go into the tactics side of things. So Quinny, I'll come back to you in a moment about that, obviously an area of real expertise there. We'll have a look at some of the performances and maybe what we might have learned from a friendly. Obviously, friendlies are notoriously, unreliable in that sense. However, we're getting towards the big matches coming up soon. We've obviously got Newcastle coming up. We've got Ajax. So that'll give us a little bit of an indication about maybe how the team may perform and how individuals may perform. From there, we're also going to look at the squad more generally, looking at areas that we feel that we're well covered in, areas maybe not so much, and look at more recent recruitment information that has come to pass. And we'll also, as ever, start looking at our rivals across at Snake Mountain or Mordor, the Death Star, whichever your particular cup of tea is. You know who I'm talking about, the Blue Meanies, my friend. And from there, we'll also have a nice ending, I think, with a bit of Poetry Corner. Now, Quinny, I'm a wee bit guilty of thinking everybody probably knows you because, you're well known within Celtic circles and the podcast side of things and football more generally. But just in case we've got anybody out there who you're a little bit new to, if you'd maybe like to say where we can find you and what you do.
So I make football content pretty much is probably the best way of summing it up. I've got my UEFA licenses. I used to do some coaching and stuff like that. I've kind of been around the block in a few different ways, but for Celtic content, everything I do is on. Yeah, exactly. You've got to be well travelled in this game. You've got to have more than one string to your bow. But all the Celtic first team analysis, transfer stuff. I'm a big fan of this channel. It's one I listen to quite often. Similar content, I would say, in a roundabout way, same kind of theme or genre or whatever. Is it Celtsar here? All one word, you'll find that. And on the internet, I'm generally known as Quinny 3001. That's just kind of like my handle for everything, and just the more general football and kind of gaming kind of stuff I kind of get up to for the most part. But yeah, thanks very much for that, Martin. And great to be back on. Like I said earlier, long time listener.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's great to have you back on. It's been a wee while, so I'm delighted by that as well. I'm sure absolutely James is as well. I think to get right into matters, we'll come to you immediately, Quinny. So 2-0 victory last night, but in previous episodes we've been talking about a potential KT butterfly effect and possible changes that the manager could make in terms of formation and tactics and so forth. So based maybe not only in last night, but maybe prior matches as well in these particular friendlies, what have you learned? But in particular, was there anything last night that stood out for you?
So I think it's the left back thing has been something we've all been waiting for with bated breath, and the butterfly effect, as it's been kind of described on here, is kind of the best way of epitomising it, I think, because there's not a world a lot of Celtic fans can imagine Tierney being in the Taylor role, the inverted thing, holding hands with McGregor, roaming into right wing at times or whatever. But I went to the Queen's Park game And I noticed, well, I was front and centre for that. It's quite a small venue, as you might imagine. But Montgomery was playing the Taylor role all the way through that game. The second friendly, same thing happened again. For when it wasn't Tierney on the pitch, so it made me think, like, I don't know if this is something the manager's leaving the door open for, but it's very clear to see when Tierney's on the pitch, like it's Tierney at left back. He is going into there, and I think it's going to be quite interesting what the other left back that gets brought into the squad is capable of doing, because when we had Valley in last year, I thought he looked like a bit of a mini Tierney, like quite a sprightly wee lad, happy to kind of go shoulder to shoulder with somebody, loves to whip in a cross and has got an eye for the final third. But even when he played for a lot of time, Rodgers was telling him to follow in Taylor's shadow almost. He wasn't really super wide. So it'll be interesting to see if we leave the door open for that wild card, inverted fullback kind of thing that we've got used to over the years, or if we get like an actual doppelganger for Tierney to understudy him for the season. So I think it looks like Tierney's here to be Tierney. But I'm not too decided whether Rodgers has moved away from the Ange left back role altogether.
And I think one of the things, James, that I'd kind of noticed as well was the movement in the side. There were a couple of instances when you're talking about Tierney there. One of the big chances Idah had was when Tierney was out on the right hand side, and a bit of kind of Nakamura, sort of swinging the ball in with the left foot, into a perfect position for him. And I thought the same even with Nygren, he seemed to pop up in a lot of different areas there. So, I mean, to you, James, what did you notice about the formations and the way Celtic played last night?
Yeah, I thought it's, I'll start with Tierney because I think he is the, 800-pound elephant in the room, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this is reductive, but to me, he was playing the Lustig role. Back when we had Mikkel Lustig and we would in attack play with like a 3 with Brown in front of him, with McGregor being kind of the more advanced in a double pivot a lot of the time, or, we would also rotate into 4-3-3. So it would almost be like I guess, and Quinny, you would know this better than me, but more like a 3-2-5 in attack almost, or a 3-1-6, depending on the opposition. And it seemed like Tierney a lot was just out in that left center back role in a back 3 with Scales in the middle and then Dane Murray on the right. I just found that interesting. I don't know how to feel about that yet, because I was kind of surprised by it. Because again, I think, and this is all just mostly probably bias, was I was expecting, to see kind of the classic Tierney rampage, the guy blasting up and making runs and whipping crosses and, being more of an attacking fullback. And how much of that is by design, how much of it could be part of him ramping up, because he did have, he has his long-term injury history, but, I think he tweaked something at Scotland in June. So they might be managing him ramping up, and you may not want him, unleashing the beast right away. So there could be a fitness ramping up there. So I don't know how much we can discern from what we saw, but I think it'll be interesting, to Quinny's point, like there's a lot of variation here, even within 4-3-3, that the tweaks that can happen, because it was kind of like, and I think, Quinny, you tell me if I'm wrong, I think Ralston was inverting more so against Sporting, which again, I mean, he's capable of it. He learned it under Ange. He had a really good season in 21-22, is a lot of that season the primary right back. So yeah, that was kind of my first observation was, kind of not a passive Tierney, but I don't know. I'm not sure I like him in that Lustig role, because I don't think like deep line playmaker and passing is his like a strength necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad at it, but I'm not sure I want him orchestrating attacks, with the field in front of him, making passes. I'm not sure that's his bailiwick, so to speak. But so yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview from all of us here at the Huddle Breakdown. We know you have options, and we really appreciate you tuning in. To hear the rest of this episode and for much more Huddle Breakdown content, head on over to www.huddlebreakdown.com. We hope you consider subscribing. Thank you.